Hello my lovelies and welcome back to my channel. I know this video is going up a little bit late. I am so sorry about that. I had a super busy month, so as always, so these videos just keep getting delayed. But anyway, I know we're in April, but I wanted to finally talk about my wrap-ups, and that includes my reading and my writing. This video is probably going to be a little bit shorter because, spoiler alert, wasn't a very productive month. In ways it was, in ways it wasn't, so let's just get into it. As you guys know, every month I pick 5 prompts from my TBR jar. I try to get to around 3 of them, but this month I only was able to get to 2 books, okay? And the first one is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you watched when I picked out this book, it was a book that I was avoiding, a book that I thought I wouldn't like. Like the prompt was something like that. And I loved this book. I was so surprised because I found that the synopsis on it was very generic and vague, and it really didn't give me much insight as to how I would feel. But I was hooked. I find Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing to be so engaging. I was so absorbed reading this book. I felt like all of the characters were so complex and had so many different backgrounds that they were just all very unique, and when they came together, it was a very interesting, chaotic experience. Another thing that was really cool about her writing with this book is it was a multi-timeline, so you followed the past and how it led us to the present. And in ways, following this family like that made me feel like, if you've watched the show This Is Us, I felt like I was reading a version of This Is Us. And if you've watched that show, you'll know what I mean about how we follow the parents' storyline and we also follow the children in present day storyline, even though it's all set in the past in this book. It was a page turner. I really, really, really like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. So this book is set in, obviously, Malibu, California. Another thing that was really cool about it is, having lived in California for a while, I knew almost every location that was being talked about. Like, I could see the canyons driving through Topanga, getting to Malibu, all the way down to Venice on Highway 1. Like, everything that was being described, I was just there. And that might have enhanced my reading experience a little bit. I don't know, I resonated so much with this book. Even something as small as the mention of the Troubadour, that little venue that is like so historic. I've been to the Troubadour, I've gone and seen a show at the Troubadour, so I was just in the book. So needless to say, I loved this so much more than I thought I would. It read like what a limited series feels like when you watch like a really good limited series on HBO. I would love to see this made into something like that. So yeah, I gave this a 4.5 stars. I'm so glad I chose it. If it wasn't for that prompt, I might have avoided this and eventually unhauled it, who knows? But that's why I like reading prompts, because they force you to read things you wouldn't pick up. Now you're just so much more exposed, even to your own TBR cart, which is crazy. But yeah, that was so fun. And having Carrie Soto's little cameo in it, when I heard her character came up, I was like, oh, I have that book. So yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but I did read Carrie Soto is back for April, but we'll talk about that next month. Moving on to the second book that I read in March was Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This one I picked because I think the prompt was something like a super long book, like something like that, I don't know. Or a book that, I don't know, there was another prompt, you'll have to go watch the video. But this book had been intimidating me forever. I anticipated this being a 5-star read, not gonna lie. And it's so weird because my expectations for both of the books that I picked up in March were completely flopped. I thought Malibu Rising was going to be something that didn't speak to me, and I thought this was going to be a 5-star, and it was kind of reversed. Very strange. I enjoyed reading this. I don't know why, when I see a book this big, I shouldn't expect jam-packed action, which it's not like I love jam-packed action anyway. I actually do prefer a slower read. But I found this book in moments to be a little too slow for me. And you guys, the world building was so dense and thick for me. So it just wasn't what I expected. And I think it's because I hear people speak so highly of this book that I was just wanting it to hit in a way that it didn't quite land for me. Not a bad read at all. My favorite character actually was Eads. I really enjoyed her arc a lot. She was the glue for me that kept me coming back. It just felt a little bit like I was crawling through it in some moments to get to the end. And I think that was just a pacing issue for me. Nothing to do with like the quality of the plot. It was a very well written book, and there were actually so many good quotes in this book too. But the pacing was just a little off for me, and I think it was just the sheer size of the book for all of the amount of characters we were following. I think it was the first 200 pages where I finally understood some of the titles that the characters hold, the bloodlines, the geography. I felt really in over my head for like a lot of the beginning of this book to like catch up with the world building, and even still to the end of the book, there were some titles. There's a lot. Everybody was a somebody. Everybody, I can't even tell you. I might be making this up, but like a Viscount this and a lady that and everyone was someone, and I was like, it was just too many titles. But I really did, but I did have a generally overall good time reading this, and honestly, I'll probably keep picking up the series because the plot is very interesting, so I want to see where it goes. There was just something missing for me that I can't quite put my finger on. So overall, I rated this book a 3.5 stars. And like I said, those were the only 2 books that I read this month. Priory of the Orange Tree is a honker, 804 pages. So I probably read the same amount of pages I usually do. So in terms of my reading for March, that's it. And in terms of my writing for March, there is not much to report. And I'm so sad to say that because I really want this year to be the year I finish my book, and I am on the second draft and I am making progress. It is just much slower progress than I expected. I think I got a little bit overwhelmed with the world that I created. I think that I started editing the second draft and was just hit with, especially my word count. Like I definitely wanted to be under that 100,000 word count from a new adult fantasy as a debut author. That's very important when you're querying to agents because it's a lot to invest for publishers in new writers that don't have a sales history when you have a huge book. That's just a much more expensive investment. So I'm trying to be very mindful of that. And I ended my first draft at around 93,000 words, something like that. I'm only in Act 2A of editing and I'm already over 100,000 words, which I'm sure my third draft, I will get it down even more, but I'm probably gonna end up this second draft at around 110,000 words. I don't know, so that's on my mind a bit. It's a series. All of that is like stacked against me when it comes to the odds being in my favor of querying. So that paired with honestly the amount of writing that I still have to do. I went into draft 2 of my book of Project Tongue thinking, okay, we're gonna edit, and I forgot how many scenes there were still for me to create. So that has made my progress be a little slower than I would have liked. There's even more characters that I've added. There are some big moment scenes that I'm writing from scratch still. I wanted to be completely finished with this draft by the end of March, and I am still in the first, maybe third of the book, 2/3, somewhere like in the middle of that. So that's a hard pill for me to swallow because that extends me getting my beta readers this copy. I don't know. It's even like it's mid-April and I'm still that far behind. So I have to pick up the pace, but I want to make sure my quality comes before quantity. So yeah, that's the update. Different than what I thought my pacing would be for writing, but I'm still chipping away at it, and I still have my fingers crossed that by this year I can have a finalized draft of this manuscript that is query ready. So yeah, those are my updates. I'm still very proud of myself even though things didn't turn out the way I wanted to, because let me tell you, this month personally, a lot was going on. I'm not gonna get into all of the nitty-gritty of it, but I did a lot. So it makes sense to me that some things had to sacrifice this month, and that's just the reality of it. And that's why I want to be like honest on my channel about the ups and downs of this progress of writing and honestly reading goals, because I think that's just realistic. That's just life. So I wanted to get this video out even though I know it's super late. I'm already in the middle of my reading my April TBR, and that is going well. So stay tuned for my April wrap up, probably in a couple weeks. Yes, this is a shorter video, but I just wanted to get this up for you, and I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much. Please consider subscribing if you like videos like this. I do monthly TBR jar picks and my wrap-ups as well, and I'm gonna try to do more writing vlogs as well so that I can actually showcase and document the process of me writing my first ever book. Like, I don't wanna forget these moments. So anyway, I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good one.